Some breaking news now. As promised, the CIA whistleblower's evidence has now gone public and on schedule. The deep state is scrambling and they are now in damage control mode. I have all the details and we're going to get into it. I've got a stack of evidence here we're going to go through, but if you're new, first, tap the red subscribe button down below and then hit that notification bell so you're the first to know when the latest news breaks. First, I also want to say welcome to the almost 70,000 new subscribers that have joined this channel as of the last 48 hours after the viral video broke of the initial report on the CIA whistleblower, the damning information regarding Obama, Osama bin Laden, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, all the information that is out there. As you know, we did speak with Anna Kate in our initial video. She was scheduled to be in this report, but she's very busy with her own work right now. So we're going to go through the evidence as it's been presented. Now, I want to point out there's really a lot to unpack here. So we have a lot of information to disclose in this special report. We have the transcripts. We're going to go through the transcripts. We have the audio recording. We have some background on the actual whistleblower, some very interesting information, a documentary film that was put out about him some time ago. We're going to play that as well. But first, I want to point out that President Trump has retweeted the initial article that we cited in our first viral report. So good news is President Trump is well aware of this story. Other news outlets, alternative news, new media outlets are picking this up all across the web. But as you may have seen, if you try to share the initial report, you may have seen this message pop up on your Facebook as is on mine. Yeah, false information checked by independent fact checkers. We're going to dig into that as well. We're going to show you a very curious point that they make in their own fact checking article. But first, I want to get into the backstory, okay? We're going to play the video of the whistleblower that we played in our first viral video. If you've already seen that part, you can skip ahead about 2 minutes and we'll see you on the other side of this. But this is very important backstory before we present you the evidence. Roll it.
You'd think he'd know not to lie about something so obvious. He said it was a Muslim burial at sea. Nonsense. And so this big lie that you see, Biden, Hillary, and Clinton worked this agreement with Iran. They trusted Iran to move bin Laden to Pakistan. He did. He was there. But then they trusted Iran to keep him there. They moved him out back to Iran. And then the communication from Iran to Obama was, hey, we got your neck in a noose. Give us all this money. $152 billion, $2 billion on an airplane pallet was paid out for the secrets I wish to reveal now and to the president under the terms of misprision and treason. That is to say, this is a secret. These are secrets worth $152 billion paid by President Obama, and Vice President Biden paid with the blood of SEAL Team 6 when he had them killed.
So it's blackmail and extortion then.
Blackmail and extortion.
Now,
Iran commandeered.
You have the documents to
Yes.
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 Now,
Iran. Yes, sir.
well, I was going to ask you, if you have those documents, are you willing to personally deliver those to President Trump if he were to provide the transportation and the guarantee of safety for you to do that?
Well, I'm not concerned about safety. There's always an invisible hand that protects us, and we're on the winning team. America's on the winning team.
Not one sparrow falls to the ground outside of God's will.
Yes.
Okay, so here's the deal. We're going to get into the evidence right now. Okay, so I think we should first play. Brian, go ahead and cue up. Okay, so this is what we're going to play for you right now. This is the backstory, the documentary film called Feathered Cocaine. This is going to prove to you that this guy is 100% credible. Okay, this guy, his name, Alan Perot, He was a falconer. That's what he did. He worked in the desert training falcons for super rich Saudi royal families. He met Osama bin Laden multiple times. He worked in these falcon camps, which served as locations where these people in the desert, the Saudis and the terrorists, would all come together. They would discuss arms deals and the like. So being a falconer served as his cover role as he collected intel. All right, so let's play the clip from the trailer of Feathered Cocaine.
These are Al-Qaeda's boardroom.
The falconry camps are just a metaphor for the way business is done in the Middle East.
I was supplying and training the Falcons, without which these camps could not exist. I'm interested in Falcons, but I've been sucked into a whirlpool of intrigue involving terrorism, against my will, against my interest. But what do you do when you walk in a room and you see a Falcon and a terrorist? You can report it, but then what do you do when nobody wants to hear it?
But you did have a meeting with Osama bin Laden, as I understand.
Here's a guy who bumps into Osama bin Laden. I met him 5 or 6 times.
Our country is still the target of terrorists who want to kill many.
Okay, so that was just a clip from the trailer called Feathered Cocaine that featured Alan Perot, who is the whistleblower. Now, we have audio that has now been published. It's on Anna Kate's Twitter and her YouTube. We're going to play a clip from that, which goes into great detail. It's probably some of the most damning audio I've ever heard of the United States government, an official working for Joe Biden. It's actually Joe Biden's attorney. Joe Biden's attorney on tape saying the United States has cut a deal with Osama bin Laden to keep him protected and hidden in Iran for such a time as they would like to trot him out. Keep him hidden in Iran so that they could keep him hidden and protected so that he would not hit the United States. So let's get this clip out of the way. This is probably the most damning, and then we're going to go into some of these non-disclosure agreements between Joe Biden's attorney, his fixer, and the whistleblower. Roll it.
And I understand you're into the preservation of falcons. I'm sure you do know most of the royal members of the royal family, because that's what they hunt with, is falcons, as well as bin Laden used to hunt with falcons.
Well, sir, I worked exclusively for President Sheikh Zayed, the late president of the United Arab Emirates. I lived with him and his family for 20 years. I also trained falcons for the Saudi crown prince before he became King Abdullah. Yes, falconry is the Rosetta Stone for Al-Qaeda. I met Victor Boot in Sheikh Zayed's falconry camps, and recently, between November 2004 and up until recently, my team members have met Osama bin Laden 6 times inside Iran. We have repeatedly notified the U.S. government and only received, first we were ignored, then we were obstructed, and then we were threatened.
That doesn't surprise me. There's a friend of mine who's an international hunter, and he hunts with falcons with the royal family of the UAE, and his name is Saeed Khan Karacha.
Yes.
I don't know if you know Saeed, but he takes them in the Himalayas to go this mountain goat. They go hunting with the royal family there.
Yes.
And he told me about a year ago that because he has a house also in Quetta, he told me that he knew recently that bin Laden was in northern Iran, and that he's an American citizen, and told people at the embassy, and they ignored him like the plague. I haven't told you this, but on my most recent trip to Kuwait, I was with my 2 closest friends there, Sheikh Mohammed, who's the foreign minister, deputy prime minister, and former U.S. ambassador, and Sheikh Saud, who was the ambassador during Desert Storm.
Yes.
And it was George Bush, the father's closest friend in the Middle East.
Yes.
And he's a very close friend of mine, and we were having a private dinner with his son Noah, who's another really close friend of mine. And we got to talking about Bin Laden, and I said, Sheikh Saud, where do you think he is? He said, oh, Kurt. He said, there's no doubt, he's in Iran. Yeah, I just told Kurt, I said, no, the better way of doing it, if Susan Collins and Lieberman are on board, I wouldn't go see Obama, I'd go see Biden. And Brian can arrange that. Brian can arrange that directly, Alan.
Here's the problem, sir. We have identified with documentation 3 mechanisms used by the Bush administration to covertly engineer bin Laden's house arrest inside Iran. We have identified 2 mechanisms used by this administration to continue the legacy. And Hillary Clinton's fingerprints are all over this, and Leon Panetta's fingerprints are all over this. We will have tremendous opposition.
But yeah, because I told Kurt today, I said he is being protected by us. We don't really want to get him. We want him under the radar screen because he basically made a deal that he's not going to hit us here in the U.S.
Well,
okay, so you heard that, right? I'm going to play it again for you, these last 20 seconds of this clip, but I'm going to bring it up on the screen so you can see it at the same time. It's the most damning part of this entire recording, the admission that there was a deal in place with Osama bin Laden to protect him. It happened under the Bush administration, continued under the Obama administration, with Joe Biden's attorney directly connected and admitting that fact. That's who you're hearing right here.
We want him under the radar screen because he basically made a deal that he's not going to hit us here in the U.S.
Well,
okay, you see it right there.
But yeah,
you see it right there. He is hiding. He's been protected by us. We don't really want to get him. We want him under the radar screen because he's basically made a deal that he's not going to hit us in the United States. That right there, that is Joe Biden's attorney. And we have the NDA right here that has been published to Twitter. Friends, this is pretty heavy stuff. There's no question about it. And it's just jarring when you consider this is the actual envelope that was sent to the Vice President, Joe Biden, and his attorney by Alan Perot. This is the proof that it was delivered, the FedEx packing slip that it was actually delivered. Okay, this right here, let's take a look at this piece of information. This is what he contained within the document, within the letter that was sent to Joe Biden as well as his attorney. Enclosed is a DVD prepared by my organization that lifts the veil on the house arrest of 100 plus of Al-Qaeda's leaders inside Iran, which was covertly engineered by the United States government. Analysis is provided for Osama bin Laden's emigration from Iran to Pakistan, including catalysts and motives that compelled Osama bin Laden to leave the Islamic Republic of Iran, and which ultimately culminated in his recent demise in Pakistan. So what's interesting about this is what we understand from our first viral video, and as was stated in the very first clip in this report, is that Osama bin Laden was actually removed from Pakistan, and SEAL Team 6, as the whistleblower alleges, SEAL Team 6 went in and killed the decoy. Okay? So this is the actual letter that has all of the information. I encourage you to go to Anna Kate's Twitter. This is where she has all this stuff published. You can see it all in black and white for yourself. And I'm just trying to be a conduit for you to try to digest this, make some sense of it all, because it is really that damning. Let's continue in moving on. Okay, so this is the envelope of another. This is the return envelope of the non-disclosure agreement that was signed between the whistleblower and Perot and Biden's attorney, Ettinger. This is the actual NDA that has now been published to Twitter. It is absolutely damning. And they're trying to fact check this and say this is all fake. Here it is. This is the fully signed and executed version of the NDA. The signatures are on the documentation. Okay? The signatures are included. There they are. Right there. This is it. This is the signature on the NDA that proves that he is in the know. Now, the NDA that he has published and he has released into the public record, it states that Ettinger is, for himself, his personal experiences, has developed certain relationships with influential people and entities which are of interest and which may be of value to Perot and UCR, herein referred to after as contacts. Ettinger is willing to provide certain assistance in promoting or possibly facilitating contact between Perot and UCR and his own contacts so that Perot and UCR may establish relationships or business ties with said contacts which may be of value. Now, it continues to say Perot and UCR must disclose to Ettinger very detailed information, knowledge, expertise, evidence, research, analysis, and other similar or related materials without limitation discovered, produced, and or developed by Perot and UCR in regards to Osama bin Laden and other senior al-Qaeda leaders and other internationally known terrorists, with such information including the circumstances of Osama bin Laden's status and captivity in Iran. He signed this document saying and affirming the captivity of Osama bin Laden in Iran, his associates, his involvement in falconry, as well as information pertaining to arrangements for UBL's transfer to the custody of the United States or a designated U.S. proxy. Remember, I can't believe this is all happening. They moved him to Pakistan. And then Iran double-crossed, pulled him out, according to the whistleblower's testimony. So this is all very, very damning information. This NDA goes on to mention the Feathered Cocaine documentary and discussing all these major points. So it's a general NDA, but the main point that I'm pulling out of this is that he signed it in its acknowledgement that Biden's fixer, Biden's attorney, had full knowledge that Osama bin Laden was in Iran. So here's the bigger question. How come they didn't go after him? They knew where he was, but yet they continued to wage wars. They continued to wage wars against the Taliban in Afghanistan. If they knew where he was, why didn't they just go get him and end it all? Instead, they dragged it out, and then eventually they brought him to Pakistan, allegedly, and then SEAL Team 6 went in and took him out. But they didn't take him out, and that's why SEAL Team 6 had to be exterminated. This is just wild stuff. Now, the president, of course, as you know, has been made aware of it. He's already tweeted it out. The deep state is scrambling. They're terrified that this information is going public, and now you have just heard the actual audio of Biden's attorney making that statement, that the U.S. government was in full knowledge of where he was and that they were protecting him. The United States government was protecting Osama bin Laden. Think about that for just 1 second. I thought this was all about going after Osama bin Laden, the war on terror. This goes back to the Bush administration protecting him. This is not conspiracy. This is a fact. And it is now a documented fact. The documents are right here. You can see the signature right there on the screen. 12811. This is high treason. This is high treason. They were protecting the terrorist himself, so they could bring him out for a politically expedient time, for a trophy kill. Now, I want to point out a couple things here because the deep state is scrambling right now. They're terrified that this information is going out. And that's why you are starting to see these fact-checkings showing up on anytime you post. Okay? This is my post on my Facebook page, and they've got the fact check. Now, what's interesting is when you click on this, when you click on the actual fact check, it takes you to Lead Stories. Now, Lead Stories discusses Obama and Biden did not conspire with Iran to stage a bin Laden killing or silence SEAL Team 6 by shooting down a helicopter. Okay, so let's make a couple points clear here. The allegation of the whistleblower is that, in fact, it happened. At this point, the information that we do have that is an uncontrovertible fact is that we know that they were aware of where he was and that there was a deal to protect Osama bin Laden. But Lead Stories tries to debunk this. But you know what they ended up doing at the end of this article? Here's what they said. Okay. Lead Stories' efforts to independently confirm Perot's claims were unsuccessful. So they didn't independently confirm it at all. They just went up and said, no, didn't happen. Didn't happen. Lead Stories' efforts to independently confirm Perot's claims were unsuccessful. So I find that to be very interesting that in a fact-checking article, they're unsuccessful in confirming it. But here we have the audio right now that proves the first point. That Obama and Biden were protecting Osama bin Laden. Now, Forbes is also in on it as well because President Trump tweeted it out. They're already calling this a conspiracy theory. Trump promoting a baseless QAnon-endorsed conspiracy theory alleging Obama staged bin Laden's killing. I don't even know where QAnon comes into this. I never even heard that brought up in any of my investigations or conversations. So I don't even know why. I mean, they're just trying to smear. They're attacking the messenger, but they're not going after the actual message itself. It's standard operating procedure by deep state architects. They just throw it out there, call it a conspiracy theory, and hope it goes away. Well, it's not going away. The information is here. It is now public. Anna Kate, right there, is one of the main players putting this information out there. So you need to go and follow her on Twitter for all of the latest information. Now, what's also, I only played you a portion of the video. There's actually 2 videos of audio tape on her YouTube channel. You can go and you can watch them in full. They're damning. I showed you the most damning part. Brian, maybe we could play that last part again. It's, I think, the last 20 seconds of this clip here, because it is so important. We can do that? Okay, so let me bring up this. This is the actual statement. He says, here's the problem we have identified with documentation. Hillary Clinton's fingerprints are all over this. Leon Penenda's fingerprints all over this.
We want him under the radar screen because he basically made a deal that he's not going to hit us here in the U.S.
Well,
but yeah, because I told Kurt Dennis that he is being protected by us. We don't really want to get him. We want him under the radar screen because he basically made a deal that he's not going to hit us here in the U.S.
Well,
you heard it right there. There's nothing more to be said. That's proof positive a deal was cut. Now, I don't need to keep beating this horse anymore. The information is out there. It's in the public record now. It's on Twitter. And it's absolutely damning. So, the deep state is in damage control mode right now because the information is publicly available. So do your part as an American. Share this information everywhere. Some are calling this the October surprise. I just call this some of the hardest news that I've ever had to report. And you heard it here on the Next News Network. Comment below. We'll see you at the next report for the Next News Network. I'm Gary Franchi.
You possess the power to impact the global narrative. Please share this report and To get more videos like this, become a Next News subscriber by clicking the link below. Thank you for watching the Next News Network.